Hey, welcome to day 3 of me talking about Composed. The 12 Days of Composed is what we're talking about. It's based on my book, Composed, The Heart and Science of Leading Under Pressure. And I don't plan which chapter I'm going to touch on. I just kind of going through the book. And as you might know it, the chapter 5 today, the strategy we're talking about for being composed under pressure is barriers or possibilities, focusing on potential. And the thing that is, I actually thought this might come up, is that this is actually personally one of my strengths, which is probably why I'm somewhat alarmed this morning. Not alarmed, but that I'm kind of struggling with this morning, to be honest. You know, I don't feel like I'm the guy this morning who's going to say, go and focus on potential and all will be good. This morning I'm more like, I feel a little bit heavier in my step. Just nothing, major, just things, just feeling the weight of certain things within my own life and mission and work. And so instead of me preaching at you, I think I'm relating to this. And I think because it's one of my strengths, I have this ability to see potential usually that I'm a little bit, it's kind of a little spooky when it's your strength is kind of you're struggling with it on a particular day. I open up this chapter, and so instead of, I just want to read a couple things. I open up this chapter, and this is a quote from me to myself. One of the most important ways to maintain your composure is to see what could be, despite everything inside of you telling you that things are getting worse. So it's seeing what could be in spite of that reality. And I think this is something that we all struggle with when it gets really heavy and the pressure is on. And people around us, we feel pressure from them, or just a pressure to meet up to some standard that we've set for ourselves. But let me just read one more paragraph and then finish with that. On the third day of 12 Days of Composure, it says, people who develop their capacity to focus on potential engage in what I describe as this and that thinking versus either or thinking. Either or thinkers tend to see one of two options, a good option and a bad option. Developing our capacity to be this and that thinkers allows us to see that in every situation we are presented with multiple paradoxes. This is the reality that what could be lives in constant tension with the reality that there are very real barriers in our way at the same time. In many cases, there are multiple possibilities, many of which may have aspects that are both good and bad. Trees crossing roads are both barriers in one sense and bike jumps in others. There's a story earlier in the chapter that I talk about. And this is the thing for me today, I think, and I hope this maybe helps you. It says, remind yourself that life is always a series of peaks and valleys. As a close friend of mine always reminds me, life is defined more by seasons than by moments of failure or trouble. So I know that isn't maybe a big uplifting thing, but for those of you who may be struggling today, I hope that there's some inspiration in that if we could see potential in spite of the barriers, and to remind ourselves that it's more about seasons and series of peaks and valleys.